Hi, I'm David Knight from Healthcraft. Welcome to my kitchen. This segment we're going to show you how to cook a roast. Basically what I have here is a 2-pound bottom round roast. Now before you can cook your roast you need to do a couple things. Now what I've done here, this is our small saute skillet. I've preheated this pan over medium heat for about 5 minutes. Now the way you want to tell if your pan is hot enough, you want to take a little bit of cold water and drop it in the pan. If it dances around like that and you have little tiny bubbles dancing around, that means it's hot enough, you're ready to cook. If it evaporates, you don't have the right cooking temperature, you just need to wait a little bit longer. Okay, what you should do when you're cooking any type of meat, you should let it sit out and become room temperature before you start to cook it, because you've already achieved the proper cooking temperature in your pan, and you don't want the meat, a cold piece of meat, to lower the cooking temperature, and therefore it would compromise the sear you're going to get on your meat. You want to get a good sear on the meat because you want to be able to lock in the juices. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our roast, just place it right into the pan just like this, and then we're going to sear that on all sides. Now the reason you want to sear it, again, is you want to lock all the juices in, so it's very important to sear it on all sides. You're going to give it about 3 or 4 minutes each side. Right now, the roast is stuck on the pan. If it's stuck in the pan, that means it's not ready to be turned over. You just give it a little bit longer. The meat will actually release itself when it's seared. What happens is the pores in the meat sear closed, and then you can turn it over. So we're going to give that about 3 minutes, and then we're going to go ahead and sear all 4 sides. All right, we got a good sear on that side, so we're going to go ahead and flip it over. Oops. And as you notice, I'm using tongs. Now the reason you want to use tongs is because that way you can grasp the meat. If you use a fork, you poke the meat, and then all the juices run out, then you end up with a dry piece of meat. So you don't ever want to poke a piece of meat. You always want to use tongs. Now, we started with a hot pan. A rule of thumb when you're cooking chicken, steaks, or chops, you always want to start with a hot pan. Now, depending on what kind of fish you're doing, if you have a firm flesh fish like a salmon or a piece of tuna, you can start with a hot pan. Like a piece of tuna is almost like a steak, so you can use a hot pan with the tuna, and you don't have to use any oil, of course. Okay, so we're going to let that sear up, and then we got 2 more sides to go. Okay, other side is seared. We're just going to go ahead and flip that. That's what you want right there. You want like a nice golden brown. See that? Okay, let's go ahead and sear the last side, and we're all ready to go. Now, while this is searing, let's set this up so it doesn't fall over. Just get a little help on the side of the pan. While this is searing, I've quartered up some new potatoes. And what we're going to do is we're going to lay the potatoes around the roast, and then we're going to cover it with this pan right here as a high dome cover. This is about 2 pounds, so if you like medium rare, you're going to let it cook for about 10 minutes or pound. Then once it's cooked, you need to let it rest for about 10-15 minutes so you get the juices to redistribute through the roast. So what a lot of people do is they'll cook the roast, take it out of the oven, and they'll cut it up right away. All the juices run out, and then they end up with a dry roast. So just be patient when you're cooking, and it'll pay off. So let's give that one nice sear. There we go, perfect. You want it nice and golden brown, no black. Okay, at this point, you turn the heat down to low, and we're going to take these whole potatoes, we're going to lay those around the roast, and believe it or not, this will actually form its own gravy in the bottom of the pan, which will be pretty nice. Now you can do anything you want with the roast. I'm a meat and potatoes kind of guy, so I like, of course, meat and potatoes. You can lay onions around here, carrots, whatever you like. You can even do some fresh herbs if you wanted to. Tell you what, I'll give you an idea. We'll take a little bit of thyme here and just put it in there. With a nice thyme has got really like a lemony flavor. It's very, very good. It's great on chicken. I like it on everything. It's one of my favorite herbs. So put it in there like that. Only thing you have to do next, cover it just like this. This is your 8-inch gourmet skillet. This fits on top of the small skillet, and that's going to form your high dome cover. Anywhere you see a flat surface, this will allow you to do stack cooking. We'll get into that as the roast cooks a little bit longer. Okay, basically what I've done is I've cut up some broccoli and cauliflower and put it in our 1 1/4 quart saucepan. Remember, rinse it with a little bit of water, poured all the water out. This is how you do stack cooking. Remember, anywhere you see a flat surface, you can stack cook. So we're going to go ahead and turn this on the low. Make sure the pan is 3/4 of the way full. Okay. Cover it. Close the vent. What you want to make sure that you can cover the pan. Okay. Okay. This should work. Okay, we took some vegetables out. Make sure they fit. Make sure the vent is closed. Cover it. Turn it on low. Now what you're going to do is you're going to wait for the top to get hot to the touch. Once the top gets hot, then you can stack it. That's actually cooking, not warming. So just going to give that a couple minutes. We're going to let that stack, and then we'll be ready to go. But what you want to make sure you do, the roast is obviously going to take about 20-25 minutes depending on your desired doneness. The vegetables are only going to take about 10 to 15 minutes depending on how you like your broccoli and cauliflower. If you like it mushy, give it about 15-16 minutes. If you like it al dente, give it about 11-12 minutes cooking time. So you want to make sure everything finishes at the same time. So at this point, the top is hot to the touch. Now we're going to stack it. There we go. In about 12 minutes, we'll turn it out and we'll show you everything. The roast is finished. The vegetables are cooked. Let's take a look. There we go. Very, very nice. Let's take the time out of the way. Now what we're going to do is we're going to let this roast rest as well. Just before we cut it. Now if you cook this all day, you don't have to let it rest, because the tendons in the meat will be broken down by the long periods of cooking time, and it'll actually just fall apart, so you don't have to slice into it. Okay, while we're letting that rest, let's take a look. We got our potatoes in here. As you can see, there's a nice gravy in the bottom of the pan that we're going to coat the potatoes in a second. But let's get the vegetables out of the way. There's your broccoli and cauliflower. That's hot. Just going to place that right here in the bowl. Remember to give these enough time to cook. So if you got 15-20 minutes left on your roast, go ahead and start your vegetables. Okay, the roast is rested. We're going to let these potatoes sit. Let's go carve the roast. What you need is a big platter like this, and then just start cutting like at an angle, just like that. Now if you cut at an angle, the pieces of meat will just fall right on top of each other, and that's really what you want. What you're also looking for is, you can see that the color is evenly distributed throughout the meat. That way, you know it's been rested properly. You can slice this thin or thick, whatever you like. And when you're slicing this, you really shouldn't have too much juice running out. That way, you know it's rested properly. Okay, so what we'll do, just for presentation's sake, we'll take that piece that we haven't cut, and then we'll just take these, oops, like this, and these can go like this. Now what we'll do is we'll just take our potatoes, put those all around the roast, just like that. Then you have that gravy left over in the pan, so we're just going to take the gravy and go right over the top, just like that. Very simple, very easy. There's your roast beef done for you in about 20 minutes.